Much. If you're just joining, we're going to give another minute or two before we get started, just so we give everybody an opportunity to join the meeting room here. Just to shout out during this meeting, I cannot see you during this meeting. You can see me. So it limits limits the conversation a bit. So please use the chat. Go ahead, drop questions in as we go through our time here. I do see, let's see who we've got. We've got Devon, welcome. Levi, Matthew, thanks so much for joining us. Go ahead and drop in the chat where you're calling in from. I'm in Atlanta. It's a beautiful sunny day here. It will probably change in the next day or two. So I'm going to enjoy it while I can. And again, you know, as I go through this today, we're gonna go into a bit about what myDevices offers, hopefully get into some conversations about sensors, which I enjoy the most. But I'm curious to hear about what projects you guys are working on. So feel free to go ahead and drop those in the chat. Levi, thanks so much for joining. The Bay Area said, oh, nice. Philly, nice. I spoke to someone from Philly earlier. Very nice. Awesome. I love to see because where everybody's at, because it seems every day we're speaking to people all over the world. Missouri, I love Missouri. My husband's from Missouri. They have really good food. Perfect. So yes, just another minute or so before we give everybody an opportunity to join. Hey, Allison. Oh, from Atlanta. Nice. I am in the Powder Springs area, so I'm not sure how far that is from you, but nice to see someone from Atlanta in here. This is awesome. Let's see what time it is. We've got about 1:02 here on my end, so I guess we can go ahead and get started. Again, if you are just joining us, you know, throughout this meeting, I cannot see you, even though you can see me. So I would love if you know, dropped questions in the chat as we go throughout the process. You know, talk about, you know, what projects you're working on, because then I can customize this conversation a bit more for you, and give you the, you know, what you need. But quick introduction to myself. My name is Alex Martinez. I work on the business development side here at myDevices. I came to myDevices through the wireless space. I was previously working with Sprint. And so my first experience with IoT was seeing what, you know, sensor data and what temperature devices could do at a Chick-fil-A deployment that my husband actually did. And so I was really interested, and I realized that there was not only so much to learn, but there are so many endless possibilities in IoT. And in terms of IoT adoption, we see it growing tremendously, especially right now that the pandemic is done. It's something you can't ignore. You know, whether the demand is there for so many different industries, whether it be healthcare, you know, cold chain storage monitoring, panic buttons and security solutions, or hospitality, and very similar use cases, or you know, asset tracking on construction sites, electric submetering solutions. So with that, we realized, okay, you know, how do we present ourselves in a way that really assists where the business is going right now? And so what I'm going to do today is give you a peek into where we fit in the IoT space and how we simplify IoT deployments and solutions. I'm going to share my screen. I don't know if you guys can see it. I hope you can. So feel free to drop in the chat and let me know if you cannot see my screen. But just to start, I think it'll be helpful to give a little bit of background on our company, myDevices. We were founded in 2013. We launched our platform in 2015. We have actually been around much longer, though. We stemmed off of a company in Paris called Clarinova. So we've been around very much since the early infancies of IoT. And we are headquartered in Burbank, California, but we have an additional office and warehouse in Paris. We're doing deployments in South Africa, Australia, China, really anywhere that IoT is going. Maybe not Antarctica, just because no one's asked us to go there yet. But when they do ask us to go there, we will be there. We're working with some of the largest partners that are implementing IoT solutions. So companies like T-Mobile, Aramark, Sodexo, Amazon. So we have the ability to work on a very large scale. And I think this is what differentiates us from a lot of the other IoT companies that are out there, you know, managing deployments, you know, maybe not when someone just goes on site and adds 5 sensors to one location, but hey, how do we add 10,000 sensors across the board for, you know, 10,000 different locations? And so that's something we're really very good at. Working with those companies, we realize that there's a lot of different fragments for when you're going to market for IoT, you know, or things that block, I guess you could say, barriers to entry. And so, you know, we have things like, okay, there's hundreds of different manufacturers on the market. how do you find hardware that's the right fit for your use cases? And now once you get that hardware, it usually doesn't work outside the box. So how do you make that hardware, how do you provision it, program it to do what you need it to do, to get you the data that you need? And then, okay, next, how do we manage web and mobile applications, giving you dashboards to visualize the data from that hardware? Or how do we send that data elsewhere, elsewhere through integrations? So when you need, this data to go into a building management system or work ticketing system, how do you send that data out? And so we realized this is, what businesses were really struggling with, and they were getting bogged down, usually at a minimum of 6 months, all the way to years in the R&D process. And that's with the clients I speak with daily, that's what we're hearing. So with us, when you come to a business like us, we've taken this full circle that businesses are struggling with. We bundled it into a single offering and enablement so that you could go to market at a much faster time. Most projects we get up and running within 30 to 45 days at a much more reduced cost then, because you're closing that gap in time, and then a much more reduced risk. The first way we do that is we've got our store. And this is really where the story starts for us. So we have our store where we have close to 1,200 different sensors now that we've aggregated. Oh, sorry, wrong page. That we've aggregated all into one single place. We've got temperature sensors, electric submetering solutions, panic buttons, occupancy and environmental sensors, leak detection sensors, Modbus sensors, door sensors. This is an endless list that you could go through for days. And so when you're coming to us, we warehouse these sensors and we inventory all of them ourselves. We manage the pick, the pack, the shipping and provisioning of all of this hardware, and we become one single source of hardware acquisition for you. And so we realize when we're speaking to different clients who are taking IoT solutions to market, they may go to a manufacturer and then they have, hey, I need a temperature sensor, and now I'm going to have this app that gets temperature data that can visualize that on. And now, okay, maybe I need a panic button solution, and now I've got to get a different app, and now I have to order from a different manufacturer. And so we wanted to simplify this process and give everyone one single source of hardware acquisition, one app where they can visualize all that data and send it wherever they need it to go. Normally as well, if you're purchasing these sensors from manufacturers, they don't always work out of the box. So you have to understand the provisioning and the programming methods of all of these devices. With us, because we warehouse them ourselves, we understand the provisioning, we understand the programming of these devices, and all of those methods, and we've consolidated all of that within our software. So now, when the sensor arrives to you, it's a plug and play ready solution. So you can just scan the QR code on this device, and now immediately you can get temperature data from it. And I think that's the standard that's set with a lot of devices, where the assumption is that it's just going to work out the box, right? Like let's say you buy a Ring camera, right? The assumption is you go ahead, usually charge the battery, put it where it's supposed to go, and now you can see everything. But they don't speak about the fact that there's all these pre-provisioning processes that need to happen to get that to work. And so that's what we do very well. That way now, when you get one of these, we can get you the data that you need from it. We can create different device templates to make these sensors multi-use for multi-use cases as well. Simplifying the IoT process, streamlining it. So you're going to think of us as one vendor where you can get access to all of this hardware, access to software so you can visualize the data, and then access to additional value-added services like deployment assistance. But again, simplifying the IoT process and enabling you to immediately so that you can go to market with IoT solutions. All of these sensors that we would provide to you speak back to a platform that we would provide. You'd white label it. So a lot of our clients are taking this to market for their clients. So your logo would go here. It would go all in your own colors. It would sit on your own domain. You can access it anywhere that has internet. So smartphone, computer, tablet. And just to show a bit of the user friendliness of it, if you needed to add a device, you just scan the QR code that's on the back of any of our devices, or you can go ahead and type in that device ID right here. You can name your device, and now immediately it'll drop into this list view here. And so this platform is really robust. There's things like different dashboards where you can click in and see where your sensors are operating by location. You can look at things like tracking temperature monitoring. You can look at occupancy levels, or even desk occupancy levels, level dashboards, We've got predictive maintenance, vibration monitoring, machine run times, water usage, and electric submetering. There's all these different ways for you to visualize the data. And then you can even use our alerts engine, so you can create customized alerts. That way, once one of these sensors gets a reading and you need to send someone out, they're getting a text message or an email, and then they're getting guidances on what they need to do once the sensor gets an alert. There's even custom sensor maps so that you can see all these sensors live across a location. Another thing we did is we added more custom features because we realized that we wanted this to work for everyone. So we added a custom dashboard tool in here, and then we inserted a widget library so that you can just go in now and just drag and drop data, create your own custom dashboards to send that data anywhere you need it to go. And this is great because now you have somebody, maybe you have someone like a regional manager viewing this, and they want to see what they want to see, but then you've got someone else who's on the ground in the field and they want to adjust these dashboards as well. So this is great for that. There's a lot of simplicity in it, and there's a lot of fine tuning it to make it what you want to be to take to market with your clients. It's just one of the ways you can go to market, to be honest. Another way is, once you've got the sensors up and running, you may want that data to go elsewhere. You may want it to go into a work ticketing system. You may want it to go into a building management system. And so you can easily do that in the app using all the integrations capabilities. We've got integrations into any third-party app or platform like Azure, Google Cloud, or even custom integrations through REST APIs and custom webhooks. The key part about our integrations is that we're providing you with the single universal integration that makes any app or platform compatible with thousands of sensors. So instead of you having to go in and integrating every sensor, individually with the platform, you just integrate with myDevices set of APIs, and now that platform will be instantly compatible with thousands of devices. This is our docs page here. It's a great resource to take a look at, but we've got one-click integrations into AWS, Azure, Google, MQTT. So there's so many different ways to integrate the data where you need it to go on your side so that you can enable all of this within your own applications. In addition, one thing I love is that we also, when you're approaching so many IoT companies, there's a lot of limits. You may go to one and they say, okay, well, you're only able to use our sensors. And so we didn't want that to be something that caused friction. We wanted to simplify the process. So we allow you to bring in any of your own devices as well. You also can bring in your own gateways into our ecosystem. It's very simple to do. It usually takes about 24 hours on our end to be able to do that. And that's one of those things that just simplifies the process so that you don't have someone accessing, 2, 3, 4 apps to look at the data off of all of these different sensors. We can make you just one singular ecosystem to simplify this process. Like I said, there's multiple ways to get the data where you need it to go on your side. Maybe what would be helpful to show some of the companies we're doing this with. We have companies like Aramark, which has a very large global footprint. And this was a unique, I'd say, a unique project for them. They have this application that they built. It's called iWix Connect. And so their goal was to look at people counting so that they can optimize maintenance requests. So they would say, they reached out to us and we would say, okay, let's put a sensor on the door. If the restroom has a door, let's see how many door swings we're getting. Or maybe let's put a sensor on the ceiling in the restroom. Let's see how long people are actually spending in these restrooms. And so we took all that data and then, we template it, and then we can figure out, hey, okay, well, now we know how many door swings there are, how often people are spending in there. Now we can use that data, and now we can figure out, hey, we've been sending in people to clean every 2 to 4 hours. We probably should have only been sending them in every 6 to 8 hours. And now they're going to adjust that and create automated maintenance cleaning schedules that save, tremendous amounts for their clients. I think they save something, they've proven that they've already saved around 8 hours a day in labor for the clients that they're going to market with this. So we're kind of empowering this entire strategy for this client. And we also, they're not only purchasing the sensors from us, but it's getting fulfilled, shipped, configured by us, and then it's going directly to their clients. And this is an important part of the process as well. When you're reaching out to so many different hardware manufacturers, that becomes a problem in itself, managing different lead times. And when your project is coming, when you're coming to us, you're coming to a single source. If you're in the United States, everything's coming from our warehouse in California. So you're not going to have all these different POs getting processed out. We're simplifying that all as a single source for you. And then we're managing the warranties. We're managing the RMAs. We're doing the pick, pack, and ship, again, sending the hardware either to you or directly to your clients. Like I said, just other simple ways that we simplify this process. And then we work with another company would be helpful to show is Safety Culture. They are in Australia. You might have heard of them. They have this app called iAuditor. It's their own software that they've created. And it was a concept of inspection checklist. And so their clients, started reaching out to them because they wanted to deploy sensors to automate this. So they wouldn't have to go out and manually check things every single time. So we empower this entire strategy for them through all of our APIs. Their clients actually go into iAuditor and then they can purchase sensors from iAuditor. It's fulfilled, shipped, and configured by us, going directly to their client. They, of course, don't see us. We're on the back end of this process, but we're enabling the entire process. And then we're training them on how to prospect for these types of opportunities as well. So really, we become embedded in their entire IoT process. In addition to providing you the app, we also provide you a lot of back-end tools to be able to go to market with this. First being our back-end console. And that's somewhat of a super admin console that we provide to you so that you can manage your business, you can manage your customers, you can manage your technology, you can do your firmware updates, you can manage your white label customizable settings, and then, do bulk provisioning, place orders, track order statuses. All of that administrative work is done through the backend console. And then, again, just managing of the storing and logistics in our own warehouses. In addition, we have, custom kitting, custom labeling available, because so many clients will reach out to us and say, hey, we don't have our own warehouse to do this. We don't have the manpower to do the pick, pack, and ship, but we want to customize this process. So we can do that all through our own warehouse channels. And then there's the enablement, which is the most important part of this. I think we realized very early on as we did this that we weren't successful unless our partners were. So it wasn't just about providing them access to hardware. It's not just about providing them access to software. There's a lot of training and services that need to go into this process. So we have a 30-day onboarding process. It starts with a kickoff call with our team. And that's where we bring in sensor experts who have been in the industry, usually 10 plus years. And so now they're going to consult on which sensors will be the best for your use cases. So you're not wasting time and money testing devices that aren't going to work. They can easily say, hey, okay, this is the project requirement. Perfect. This is the sensor that's going to work. Let's look at the layout of the LAN. Okay, perfect. Let's put the gateway here so that we have the best connectivity on the property. They'll put together solutions. They'll put together custom dashboards. They'll do all of that ahead of time to make sure you're in the best position to offer this to your customers. There's also training on the app. There's training on the back-end console so that you can use those to be the most successful. And then there's professional services. Maybe you need help with an installation, maybe you need boots on the ground to physically go out and install the sensors. And this is where, coming back to what I was saying previously, it comes in where you're deploying 10,000 solutions at 10,000 different locations. We have the manpower and the support to be able to assist you with that. We've got close to 55,000 installers now that can physically go anywhere in North America and install the sensors, or technical support for whether it be hardware troubleshooting, systems integration, getting the data routed into your customers' platforms and all that. So all that to say, we're assisting with the hardware, the software, the connectivity, and the services that are needed to make any IoT business successful. This is our website here, and I think this is just helpful to show. It's been kind of recently updated, but when you're looking at us in comparison again to some of the similar companies or companies that you may see at first as similar IoT companies in the market, these are some of the things that make us different. Access to this software, access to the backend console where you can do bulk provisioning, where you can deploy a large scale solution, payload decoders, custom reporting, access to someone who can create device templates for you to get you more data and replicate that solution over and over again. Access to all of this hardware. Essentially, it's the largest online catalog of devices in the world, which is great. But then the ability to bring in your own devices is probably my favorite thing that we can do, because I hear that every day. I've been purchasing sensors from this company that specializes in leak detection, but they don't have asset tracking, and that's what I need to do now. And you can come to us, and we have all of the solutions that can accommodate for that. We provide you the connectivity as well. There's so many different players in terms of network on the market. We provide you with your own private LoRa network server as well. And then a lot of the services, coming to our team, and you have weekly project calls with our team so that they can understand your projects and they can help you continuously not only scale, but then pick the sensors that are going to be the best fit for your projects to take to market with your clients. Provisioning, again, that's extremely important so that we can make these sensors work and do what you need them to do. Assisting with professional installation. Like I said, anything that's really needed to go to market. I don't want to keep repeating myself because I just realized I was, but I think what we can do is just based on this time, and I know we're kind of cutting short on time here, but maybe it'll be helpful just to open it up for Q&A. Go ahead and drop any questions in the chat. And yeah, we can definitely do that. So let's see what we've got. I actually see that we've got a few questions that just came in the chat. All right, where did they go? All right, so how do we bring new sensors to your environment? Yep, that's a great question because that's something we focus on. So this is our docs page. I think I shared a bit of it earlier, but as long as you can point the data, to us through the most common protocols, HTTP, MQTT, co-op, we can easily add them into our environment. It normally takes, I would say, anywhere from 24 to 48 hours to do that. And then you can go in now and create, not only get that data, but then, create custom dashboards and add them into the environment. We need the app keys, dev UIs, but it's a very simple process. Let's see. Is the SIM and the cellular data included with the purchase of a gateway? Yep. So if you go to our website here, we provide not only the sensors, but then we provide the gateways that create the connectivity, through the private LoRa network server. You have the option to add on a SIM card. So once you click to purchase one and you add it to cart, it'll take you to an invoice page where you can add on a SIM card. When you're coming through us, though, directly as a partner, that process is much more simplified. There's a lot more that goes into it, but we'd have hardware discounts available. We wholesale all of the hardware to our partners, so it's a much simpler process. But we do have the SIM cards available. We've got universal SIM cards as well. Let's see. I saw another question here, but it kind of disappeared. All right, this is a long one. Let's see. Yep. So do you have any experience in the ATM industry? Our distributors operate over roughly 35,000 ATMs across the US. We also have 75,000 cellular routers. This is from Devon. We are looking into sensors for when the doors open, as well as potentially tracking after theft. Can we integrate the sensors into our wireless routers? Okay, so I've actually done this before. I worked with a client. This was probably about 6 months ago, and I think they were looking to do this for about 300 ATMs. So we've got a couple different ways we can do it. There are sensors that you can actually put on the door themselves. I'm still on the gateways. Let's see if we can find one here. Okay. This one's there's a couple different ones. This one's a little bit more simple, but there's sensors that you can put on the door, and then we put that out, deploy that. It's really very simple solution. You kind of just stick it there, and then yeah, you don't have to really touch it for years because the batteries are so great. And then you'd create an alerting system in the app. So let's see what we can do. This is just this is a simulated device. It's actually monitoring a third floor toilet. But, hypothetically, you can say, hey, well, you can go in the app and you put different thresholds. So for example, maybe you'd want to put a threshold in for not only just when it's open, but maybe you'd only want to be notified when it's open for, maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and you'd want to adjust it in that way. So you can go ahead and add different rules and say, hey, okay, or maybe don't alert me at night because I'm sleeping and, we don't have the bandwidth for this, or no one's on the property, or only alert me again if that door has been open for a certain amount of time. And then it's going to add a different recipient and say, hey, I want Valerie and Mike to receive a text message and an email. And you can put any message in here. I'm going to put turn off the water. But, you can put something that, door has been opened and, we need to send someone out to check it. And then what it will do is it'll send that alert out. And then you can create a custom workflow so that whoever is receiving that alert, they're going to have guidances on what to do when that happens. So they have guidances in, there's corrective actions, and they can go ahead from the drop down, select whatever corrective actions that you put in for them. You can, see notes in this as well. And now you've got all that historic data on what, every time one of these sensors sends out an alert, you've got that historic data to visualize in a really, really clean way, which is one of the things I really, really like. And then we can send that data out elsewhere. So we could look into what I would love for you to do is maybe let's grab a time to chat on my calendar. I'll go ahead and post a link after this meeting, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about the connectivity and what you already have inside the ATMs, and we can see how we can do that. All right. What is the business model proposal from myDevices to us? Will it be managed services, consultancy, or sales, marketing? It's a combination of all of them, to be honest. So first, we're assisting with the sensors, the access to this hardware. We manage the pre-provisioning of it. So we're managing all of that. But then in addition, like you said, consultancy, we're consulting on the specific projects. You'll have weekly project calls with a dedicated account manager. You actually meet with our head of business. You meet with our deployment team, our sensor experts, and that's all services that are immediately available to you in our partnership so that we can start consulting on your projects and consulting on how you deploy these solutions. We also have a sales assistant. So if you need our team members to jump on project calls with you and your clients, they can actually jump on those calls with you as well. Marketing materials. We provide you access to all of our marketing materials, materials that you can go ahead and rebrand, our videos that you can go ahead and rebrand to your clients. So I hope that answers Manoj, I hope that answers what you were asking there, but we give you access to all of that as well. And then, like I said, simplifying the IoT process. This services here, the most helpful way to see it. Software, hardware, connectivity. We manage the private LoRa network server for you. We provide security for that. And then all the additional services. And then you take this to market with your clients. We're again on the back end of the entire process. Let's see. Devon, whether they weren't banking or financial grade ATMs or retail ATMs. This was quite some time ago. I may be able to just look back in and get you an answer on what type of ATMs they were and how they were servicing. So no problem. We can speak a little bit more about that on our next call. Let's see. What are the lead times on devices? That's a great question, especially when you have so many different devices here. Now it varies, right? Because you're getting them from one single source. So like I said, they come relatively fast, but it varies because now we need to do the configuring, the provisioning. Every time you bring us a project, we have to make the adjustments to make the devices work. So it varies. A lot of the solutions though, I mean, some of these, especially the verified ones, we've usually done over 100,000 deployments with those sensors. We've got thousands and thousands of them out. So we keep pretty good stock of these within our warehouse. I mean, there's hundreds of Chagrinos sitting in the warehouse because we know it works so well. So we can get these out to you pretty fast. And I know we're running short on time here. I think what would be helpful is to maybe speak to a little bit of how our onboarding process works. So what we would do is we move into this phased process for onboarding, and it starts at week 1. That's where we have that kickoff call. You meet with our sensor experts, our implementation team. They start to understand your clients, and then they start to build a solution. Normally at the end of this call, we usually place an order for a small number of devices. That way you can start testing on site. And then usually around day 5 to 7, we'll deliver the white label to you. And now we want to start to conduct trainings, do app training calls, teach you how to build those custom dashboards, sensor maps, and things like that. So we move into our app training calls. Usually at week 3, those devices that we ordered for you are going to arrive on site. And so now we want to do a supervised proof of concept with you, or even with one of your more friendly clients. So we'll set up the sensors, we'll validate the data and make sure it's looking good on your end, set up alerts, add users and locations. And at this phase, there's a lot of tweaks that happen. There's a lot of back and forth that happens at that phase to help kind of perfect this solution. And then at phase 3, at week 4, the next step is, okay, we know it works now. We put the time and effort to build it. The next step is scaling it and growing it. So I think, we've spent a lot of time just speaking about myDevices today, but I think the next step is always just hearing a little bit more about your projects, because I can't see you, which makes this conversation so limited. So I'd love to hear just a little bit more about your projects. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your use cases, maybe do a conversation where I can recommend some sensors for you or bring in some sensor experts from our team. I think that go to mydevices.com/Alex, mydevices.com/my name, schedule a time to chat with me and some of our team members here, and we can really start diving into your projects, because we spent so much time today talking about, speaking about us. Now we want to hear a little bit more about you and see what we can do to assist you, help you go to market with IoT solutions and simplify it. So mydevices.com/Alex. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today, especially from all these different places you were today. So this is great. Thanks so much again for your time. Looking forward to speaking to you soon. And everybody have a great day. Thanks for joining. Bye now.